Hello everybody and welcome to Obscurities in Miniature. It is Friday, which means we are going to do our nice little segue into Obscurities in Literature. And today's piece of literature holds a very, very special place in my heart. It is very near and dear to me. And as you can see by the quality of that binding or lack thereof, this book has... well, it's seen a lot of use. I speak of Robot's Tin Toy Dreams by the Teruhisa Kitahara collection. So Kitahara was a big collector of post-war toys in Japan, specifically the big robot boom that Japan kind of, fed upon and helped popularize by the toys that were coming out of there in the 50s and 60s. Obviously, I am speaking totally in hearsay because it's not like I was around for that, but I absolutely enjoyed the aesthetics of this stuff, and this book was a major influence on me growing up, and still is. I mean, that's probably why I have a certain fondness for very retro, futuristic type machines like these guys. And, growing up, seeing old reruns of Forbidden Planet and Lost in Space probably had a major impact on me as well. But a lot of this stuff I can remember seeing in old episodes of Gumby as well. That was one of the things I always enjoyed. There's just a fun simplicity to this. So, unfortunately, there are no writing in there. Usually, books like this that are gifts from family tend to have little notes or comments or years or dates on them, but I'm actually kind of surprised this one doesn't. So this was copyrighted 1985 for the first pressing of the American release, 1983 for the original Japanese one, and it starts right off with good old Robbie the Robot. So it's kind of cool. They have everything broken down. First of all, in the back they have a little appendix which goes into all of the ones that the author really wanted to talk about. You have the decade it came out, the name of the toy, and the maker, as well as the size, which is such a Japanese thing to list, but yeah, just absolutely gorgeous looking toys that at no time in my life would I ever be able to afford the original ones. Now, remakes and reconstructions is a whole nother story, and if I was filming this at my parents' house, my dad has a small but ever-growing collection of tin toy wind-up robots just like this stuff, and the best part, I love the old package designs as well. Funny thing is, a lot of these tended to get reused and repurposed with all new heads and bodies in there as well. I can tell you, when I was a kid, I probably knew every single manufacturer in here. I could look through this and tell you what year it was made. Good times, and just really, really nice photography. Some of these I know I have seen remakes of. I just dig that old classic retro look. This one, I know I have one somewhere either in my house or in my job, because I think he's at school. They don't make robots like that anymore. All the space race type stuff. Love the genericness of the boxes as well. Lots of robots that would smoke. Cragston's robot. Mr. Robot, sorry. Jupiter Robot. I mean, just looking at these things would get my creative juices flowing in my brain when I was a kid. Coming up with storylines, just the bright colors. I think it's almost more impressive that Tremendous Mike the Robot, the original collector, kept or was able to source a lot of these boxes for this stuff. I can vaguely remember having a similar styled robot toy when I was a kid. I remember going to the malls in the 80s, and they'd always have these kind of things, probably just cheap knockoffs, on the display kiosks or in front of like a KB Toys, making a ton of noise as you walk by. But I believe it would walk and it would open up its chest and have like little guns inside that flashed and made sounds or something. It would have smoke come out its head, maybe. I love how everything has to clearly tell us what we're looking at. Space robot. The spaceships are kind of cool, though. I think we might have a reproduction of that one. That looks really familiar. Globe Explorer. A much simpler time, at least for those who were growing up during it. I am trying to be so gentle with this book because I do not want it to fall apart any more than it already is. I always despised the face on this. The art isn't much better. Never liked it. Or with the baby Cupid doll looking face. And then we've got this really nice looking piece of, nitty gritty art already. Firing on the enemy from the 60s. Guy wearing what looks to be a blow-up sumo outfit. Astro Man. I like this guy. He's a cool robo tank. Random stuff. I think this is one of the oldest recorded ones they have in this book. It says it was published during occupied Japan. Interesting look. Now these, I can remember seeing toys like these as well. They open their heads and reveal a face inside. Personally, I like the lizard one, but then, bleh, opens up into some green skinned Martian dude. This guy I can remember seeing on Gumby. Absolutely, I can remember seeing him. I always liked that. Maybe it was this one too. Maybe I saw that somewhere else. I can recall seeing a lot of this stuff at toy shows and collector expos throughout the 80s growing up. Space Explorer. I think it's just cool that this stuff was cataloged and photographed. I think that looks pretty neat. Thunder Robot. A bit more modern looking ones. These are getting into the plastics. It's still in the 1960s, but just some crazy, interesting looking stuff. I like that guy. Reminds me of a gun tank or something. Bandai from 1960. Interesting. I always like this guy. He was on the cover of the book too. Something about him. What were they called? There were some robot toys in the early 80s. They had a similar kind of flexible pump thing going on. I can't think of the name. They had like suction cups on the bottom of them. I don't know. Now this one, funny enough, my dad actually still has one from when he was a kid. I don't think it works anymore. It was pretty banged up, but he still had it. I don't think it had the box though. Bunch of spaceships. Gotta love those colors. Space station. Tanks. Old movie posters. Now, this is when the book got really interesting to me, because I had absolutely no idea who Adam was at the time. Obviously, Astro Boy had been a thing in the 60s in the US as well, but then there's Garon. Garon, I actually ended up finding the manga and trying to read it way back when, but this is based on an old Osamu Tezuka manga. It just mystified me. The art looked so cool, and then there's him, and he's just like a big derpy watermelon basically. And then we get into all of these old tokusatsu heroes: Magnum Taishi, Yusei Kamen, Orgon Battle. I think I found the manga to that once before. Good old 8-Man. 8-Man's an interesting one. And then my son's favorite, absolute favorite, good old Ultraman. Mirror Man, not so much. Yeah, Leo was 70s for sure. Now, I know some of these Ultramans, they've done reproductions of these. These aren't that hard to find, especially 7 and Ultraman. We don't have Kaiteki Ultraman or Ace. So then we get Batman. Look at those shoes. Look at those cars. Look how happy Batman looks. I'm not sure what's going on there. Palmon. Now, my wife was a big Fujiko Fujio fan, so she got a kick out of that. Actually, these are pretty nice looking. These are also based on Tezuka. Actually, the V3 was too, or V Mark III. Dai Tetsujin Niju Hachigo, or Gigantor, if you want to call him that. Very nice looking. A variety of them. And he's like this one. He's so round with such skinny legs. Those legs are too fat. He was always my favorite. I've tried to read the manga. It wasn't the best. I think it was very much a product of its time. Now, this was my favorite page to look at as a child. Just sitting here and really, oh, there's R2-D2. Soaking in, and there's also Rom the Space Knight there. Soaking up all of that goodness. Poor book falling apart. I think more impressive, I mean, the size of this collection. I know the guy continued to collect. I'm not sure if he's still collecting, if he's still around, if this stuff's been donated or what. But it's just kind of cool to see so much of it. Obviously, a lot of these have been left to the annals of history, but it's cool to see them nonetheless. And then it gets into some of the info about these various robots, the toys. Talks a little bit about Garon. 8-Man. And here we have a very old picture of the collector, as well as a little bio about him. Now, I was never a big collector of tin toys by any stretch of the means, but this book really did set off a lifelong love of robots and mechs and mechanical things. And probably around the same time, I think I probably ended up discovering things like Transor Z, Robotech, junk like that. So it really set me off on the right path. The only actual tin toy that I own, I believe this is one of my dad's that I just borrowed and maybe he did get it for me, is a Martian Invader. With a puzzle piece, okay. Ah, that's his key. You can't even see him, he's so tall, but he is a proper Martian invader. Yeah. I thought this was cool. I love the paint job on it. Nice and brainy. But definitely he is the successor of toys like those that were in this book. And I always was a big fan of War of the Worlds. Should I try winding him up? Do I even remember how to wind him up? I think that is one of the nice things about most of these. Some of them were wind up, but a lot of them, as this book continues, ended up becoming battery powered. Can you overcome the book? Probably not. I'll let you crawl off to victory later on. So, hopefully you enjoyed this. Looking around, a quick tertiary look of Amazon shows me that this copy, there's all kinds of used and banged up editions of it out there. But I also know that there are further updated editions as well that do have different photographs in them than this book. I know my brother has a different version of this same style book that he got probably in the mid to late 90s. So they are out there. I think the main thing is if you are interested in taking a look at this stuff, you want to look for the Kitahara collection. As I load this, I'll see if I can find any good links for nice copies out there for you guys to peruse if that is something that you're interested in. With that said, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. This has been Highlord Tamburlaine with Obscurities and Miniatures, well, and literature. Saying thanks for watching. We'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.